100 kilograms of gold. And 100 kilograms of gold will be worth more than 120 million Ghana cedis. An entity called NK Benak Enterprise and its sole proprietor Bernard Nkrumah have been closed down by the Gold Board. They no longer have any lawful authorization to trade in gold, as their license has been suspended forthwith. And so if you have any business whatsoever to do with them relative to gold trading, you must cease from that forthwith. All these persons I've mentioned, the 3 suspects already in custody and the 4 persons at large, have all been charged for dealing in gold without authorization, for facilitating gold smuggling, for smuggling gold, for transporting gold without authorization, and for attempting to smuggle gold.
And that's the voice of Sammy Gyamfi, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Gold Board, outlining what transpired in finding some gentlemen who were trading gold illegally in the country. So we would update you on what exactly their next line of action would be. In a related development, the Catholic Bishops' Conference is tonight mounting pressure on President John Mahama to declare a state of emergency in the fight against Galamsey. The call is coming just a day after the Media Coalition Against Galamsey made similar demands. The coalition became the latest to join in the call to declare a state of emergency. President of the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference, Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Gyamfi, said that the president is not aware of the gravity of the situation at hand. He spoke earlier on Hot Edition.
The distraction that is going on is extraordinary, is grievous, is dangerous, and it doesn't call for any other simple, delayed correction. They call for extraordinary measures. And this is about life and death of the nation. And that is why we call on the leadership of the country to take extraordinary measures. When there is death approaching you, you don't delay. You take urgent measures to halt it. And this is death, destruction of our nation. So why should we wait? In other words, we should stop it immediately. We should put an end for it. Why should you delay? Why should we sip a poison that is killing us? You don't sip it. You stop it. You throw it away. So the president who is leading the nation must stand up and deliver his country from death, from destruction. And so he should stop and use all the resources available to him, all the resources of the country, to put a stop, immediate stop to Galamsey. Well, I don't know. I believe that the president is not aware of the gravity and the seriousness of the issue at hand. He may not be aware. And if he's aware, then I wonder why he would say that. And I say this as somebody who has seen some sections of the programs. Look at our rivers. Look at the dangers. Look at farmlands. Look at this. It's like a war declared on Ghana, on our very livelihood. So why is the president not declare a state of emergency unless he's not aware? And we are reminding him and telling him of some of the dangers, the immediacy and the urgency that the country is in. For the president to be aware of these things and to declare a state of emergency, halt all Galamsey, whether legal or illegal, the consequences are there, and they should sweep off all of these people from the ground. This is not something that we can solve piecemeal. It is not something that we can solve by installment. We have tried the method that the government is doing now. It didn't work. Why should we try the same method that didn't work? So there should be putting 1 battalion as a suggestion from this guy. And I think I agree with him. 1 battalion soldiers, fully armed, to sweep our forests. I said they should drive them. And if necessary, they resist. They must also resist, because anybody who attacks the nation, the way that these Galamsey people are doing, is like an army invading our country, and they must equally resist. And they must live peacefully, or the soldiers must drive them out like soldiers who are invading our country. This is not time for talking about small things when our lives are in danger. The water we drink, the food we eat, the babies being born. Then where is our future? What does this paltry small amount of gold that we get, what does it do to our nation? And even if we get it and we are dead, we are deformed, what will be the value of it? Dangerous.
Right. So you heard the voice of Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Gyamfi, who is the president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, raising a number of questions which I will be redirecting to my guests who've joined me on phone this evening. We have Seth Wolashime, who is a mining consultant, and then also we have Richard Kumado, a security consultant. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition.
Thank you, Martin.
I'll start.
Good evening, Martin.
Right. I'll start with you, Mr. Wolashime. I think there is some kind of a challenge, in trying to find out what exactly Galamsey and small-scale mining is. So for the person who does not or cannot really tell the difference, help us understand, beyond mining in the forest, which is wrong, or mining in the river, which is wrong, when you see someone mining in an open field, how do you tell whether this is Galamsey or this is small-scale, a regular small-scale mine?
Well, the term Galamsey is an illegal activity. Small-scale mining has been sanctioned by our laws, and so the difference is that one is legal and the other is illegal. So it doesn't matter whether you are not doing it in a river body or a forest reserve, as long as you don't have the approval of Minerals Commission to mine, then that activity can be termed as Galamsey. And those who have the permit to mine, those are called small-scale mining.
Right. So someone can be mining in a legitimate or an area that has been seeded off for mining, but if they are doing it illegally without the requisite permission, that can be seen as Galamsey or termed as Galamsey.
Precisely.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Now, if you look across, and having being a mining consultant yourself, if you look across the country, the concerns that have been raised about Galamsey, many assumed was largely in our forest reserves and in our water bodies. So if someone who is licensed is using banned chemicals, which is resulting in the kind of deformed babies, etc., and health concerns being raised, that legally permitted miner is also doing Galamsey. Would that be a fair assertion?
No, it is wrong. You see, the Minerals Commission has been empowered by the laws of the country to supervise the mining sector of our economy. Now, they have the mines department under the Minerals Commission. And the mines department is supposed to go and see the operations of these small-scale miners and make sure that they conform with what we call the best practice. For example, if you are going to open a pit for mining, it should be open in such a way that it will be safe so that it doesn't cave in on the people who are working. Something we have experienced, in this country, many times, just because we don't have the right supervision. So if somebody is using a chemical that is not supposed to be used, the supervisory role of Minerals Commission should be able to uncover that, and that should be able to, they should be able to advise them that no, it is not possible that you can use this and that because the effect on the environment is negative.
Okay. Thank you. And kindly hold on for me. Let me bring in Mr. Kumado. Mr. Kumado, the call for the declaration of a state of emergency has become quite cliche. On a daily basis, you hear, declare state of emergency, Mr. President, declare. The president has sought to explain why he believes it will be challenging or we are not there yet for him to declare a state of emergency. As a security consultant, first of all, explain to us what the term state of emergency means and if you understood what the president sought to tell us on the day he met the media.
So, for the purposes of public education and to the lay person, when the president spoke about the state of emergency in relation to Galamsey, it's definitely going to be a restrictive measure backed by law or the constitution that empowers the president to declare a restrictive measure to be enforced by the law enforcement agencies in curtailing and preventing the effect of Galamsey on human lives or across the country. Now, because of the word restrictive measure and because of the word to curtail and to prevent, it means that it comes under certain protocols and procedures which the law enforcement agencies, particularly the military, will have to enforce it. When you do that, three things happen. You have high levels of discomfort around the areas where the state of emergency is declared. Number two, in enforcing the laws, it could lead to casualties on both sides. Number three, because you want to achieve safety and security compliance, there's high-handedness by those assigned to enforce the laws. So we as law enforcement officers, we will ask the president, do you want us to enter into all our forests and the mining areas on a certificate of urgency or on a certificate of emergency? Whichever one the president chooses, the protocol levels are different, the compliance levels are different, the methodologies are different, and the restrictive measures are also different. So that is where we are. But Matthew, when you take this whole Galamsey issue, there are a few things we are not doing right. There's a whole lot of miscommunication and misinformation around this whole Galamsey thing. And once you mistakenly bring in politics, it means that we are being divided on the left or on the right. And I think that is also the reason why the tension is so high and many things are not being done properly. Number three, you can be doing the right things wrongly. In the case of mining, you can even have the license and you may not follow the standard protocols, which means that the effect or the outcome of your mining will have the same impact Galamsey is having. And that is to say that do we want people to mine? Yes. Are they doing it properly? To a very large extent, no. Should they be encouraged to do it properly? Yes. Do we have the best practices elsewhere in the world? Yes. Should we benchmark those practices for them? Yes. Are we at the point of doing that? Yes. But do you want to declare state of emergency? Because of the restrictive measure and because of the power given to the president or even the local authorities, our chiefs and our DCs and MCCs, you will have to come up with a measure in such a way that you have to be clear whether you want the law enforcement agencies to go in on the certificate of state of emergency or on the certificate of urgency. So that is where we are as a nation.
And maybe my final question to you, Mr. Kumado, will be, at what point do you foresee that the president may have to? Already, since assuming office, we've seen the setting up of the IGP task force. They've gone around.
There are a number of things I would have loved the president to do. Number one, he should repeal the LI 2464, which was a political campaign message. If he had done that, the levels of tension wouldn't be high as we are saying it now. There has been a discussion, there has been a hesitation of repealing the act. Some people say when we repeal the act, there will be vacuum. All those discussions has been done, and now government has agreed that they will repeal it. When government repeals that particular act, he should call the CSOs and the coalition against Galamsey into his office in the presence of the Minister of Interior, the National Security Coordinator, the Director BNI, and the IGP. Then they will have a discussion with the media or without the media. That will be number one. Number two, the coalition against Galamsey have more faith in the task force of the IGP because they can see what they are doing. So they have to hurry up and send the task force of the IGP back to the field. Considering the fact that there's a whole lot of areas, a large spectrum of areas that you have illegal mining or unproductive mining or inappropriate mining taking place, the IGP guys must get back to the field. Then number three, the National Anti-Galamsey people will need to show presence. They will need to show strength. They will need to engage the media so that people will know exactly what they are doing. That will also help. Then number four, whatever revenue comes from GOLDBOD as a social democratic antidote to Galamsey, about 5% of that revenue we need to go into reclaiming our forests and making sure that those who are mining, they have been trained and the appropriate practices and tools are bought for them. Once we can do this one, government communicators must also communicate properly. If we can do these 5 things off my head, I think we'll be fine as a nation. Because you see, Martin, these guys have been mining for all this while. We are facing challenges because the inappropriateness of what they are doing is affecting our water bodies and our farmlands. And that is where it's posing danger to life and human lives and property and body and food and almost everything. Right. And those guys in charge of the environmental greenage something, they wouldn't sit quietly. So that is where we are. Let's do it properly. I believe we have the capacity to do it.
All right. Mr. Kumado, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Walashime, so are you also confident, picking up from what Mr. Kumado said, are you confident that mining that we have done all these years, and the latter part, probably in the last decade or so, there have been key major challenges with how mining is evolving over time? Are you confident that with the right measures it can be done well, or this is a situation that probably has gotten out of hand?
Thank you very much, Martin. Martin, I would want to associate myself with some of the comments that Mr. Kumado made. Now, first of all, a state of emergency is not what we need right now. What we need is to place a moratorium on mining. And during that period of moratorium, I'm suggesting 3 months. Every mining person or company that has equipment or equipment that have been seized from these illegal activities should be brought on board to reclaim the land. So for 3 months, we should be engaged in reclaiming the land, filling these potholes or manholes that have been created in the bush. Secondly, I heard the president say he's going to send miners, to Australia where there's best practice. I think that we should rather arrange for experts to come from that country to teach people on the ground how to engage in best practice, because this is where the problem is. Number 3, immediately I am suggesting that the GOLDBOD should take an amendment to Parliament to fix a 1% land reclamation fee that will be put into a fund so that we can be using it to reclaim the land as and when the need arises. I think that by and large, we have approached this thing in the wrong way. The very first issue I have is the politicization of the issue. People, when they are in opposition, are saying different things. People in government are saying different things. So the whole conversation is murky. I would want to urge all the political parties involved to henceforth consider this thing as a national emergency.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And also, one thing I keep on saying is that Minerals Commission has been mandated by law to supervise this sector. The earlier we begin to resource them adequately to perform that role, the better it will be for us. Because at the end of the day, sending task forces into the bush and things, it's not a solution. It's a temporary stopgap measure.
Okay.
That should be clear to us.
Okay. Mr. Wolashime, certainly a conversation that does not seem to have an end in sight anytime soon. So we certainly will be engaging you more in the coming days as collectively we try and see how we can bring this illegality to an end. Thank you for your time this evening. Seth Wolashime is a mining consultant and has been helping us put into perspective these concerns that have been reiterated by the Catholic Bishops' Conference asking for a state of emergency to be declared. Earlier, you had a security consultant as well who also shared a similar thought on how we can, as a country, use the right security approach in fighting Galamsey. I'm talking about Richard Kumado. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition.